give up. Just give up. So that didn't work for me. I'm still not happy. I'm going to try this group of friends, try these substances. I'm still not happy. So then you give into the addiction, just trying not to feel anymore. It's like, well, I can't be happy. I just don't want to feel anything anymore, so I'm just going to numb it all out. And then it gets to the point where there's no purpose for me here. This really is horrible. And so it gets to the point where I'm just going to give up. There's no point for me even being here anymore. And the suicide rates skyrocket. You realize that suicide rates in America today, more people die from suicide than car crashes in America today? So it's passed up car crashes. And it doesn't matter what age group you are, it's the same. So from children, teenagers, middle-aged people, and older adults, it's all about the same. The suicide rate is pretty much even now. It used to be that it was mainly teenagers and the elderly, but now it has gotten to even the middle-aged group is doing it, and young children, even young ages. So this is a huge, huge, huge problem. And once we get wrapped up into these negative behaviors and we're totally wrapped up, it's really, really hard to pull yourself out. So for Fred, luckily, he had Grandfather Fly, who stepped in and said, "What are you doing? Get yourself out of that rotten banana peel." He gave him words of advice. He coached him. He helped him to see that life wasn't as bad as it really was. There's lots of good, nourishing foods around you. You just have to look, Grandfather Fly said. And Fred opened his eyes, so he did make that choice to look. And he did see some things and then was able to act on that and move out. And because of Grandfather Fly stepping in to help Fred, Fred was able to get out of the syndrome, which is really important. And so that will lead us to how to counteract that. So I kind of went ahead and given you a Grandfather Fly tip right there to talk about keeping Fred safe. So luckily, the same book that told us about this problem also offers us a solution, which I like to call the GFS solution. Well, you can just call it GFS, Grandfather Fly Solution. Grandfather Fly Solution. And it also has 3 steps to it. So, the first step, if we talked about in the Maggot Syndrome, it was victim, it was blaming. So, it's the opposite of that, taking accountability for your life. So accountability is key to the Grandfather Fly solution. And then as I was looking at this, I thought, well, if you don't like yourself, if you feel really negative and you're just really hating life and hating yourself, why would you choose to be accountable for your life? So that's really hard. So in order to get to that first step, we have sub-steps that we need to cover to get there. So the first one, A, is you're going to learn to like yourself. Like yourself. Okay? So the question then is, how do you learn to like yourself if you don't like yourself? You got to come up with some I am statements. So realize that those negative comments that you say about yourself doesn't help you. They're not helping you. And so you look at, say for myself, this is one that I struggled with a lot in my life, was I'm stupid. You know, I just felt like I didn't know the information. Have you ever been in class and you think you know the answer, but you don't want to raise your hand and answer because you don't want to be wrong? And then after somebody answers, you're like, oh, I didn't know that. But that thought of I'm stupid limits us. And talking to people, I found a lot of people have kind of the same thoughts about themselves. And so for me, I struggled with perfectionism. I felt like I had to be perfect. I felt like I couldn't make any mistakes. And that's pretty hard. If you can't make any mistakes, man, life is hard. So for myself, I had to find some things to do this. And so my first I am statements that I really put together was, I took the opposite. So I said, I'm smart, I'm valuable, I'm worth it, and I'm forgiven.